Good evening, and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. Take two.
He's already done one intro and a good minute of dialogue. It's been great.
Yeah. Just add some more whiskey there, okay?
Yes.
I'm
You're Aeson Knight.
Aeson Knight. Of course, with me is my techie with mostest, my business manager, and soon to be my bartender at this point.
Basically. Techie Joe.
Techie Joe.
It's been a day. Like, our day started with we went to breakfast and we ended up having to go out for dinner. So we are 2 out of and lunch didn't even occur.
Yeah.
Lunch just didn't even occur. That's just insight into our day.
It's been fun.
Yes. So you got an indecent proposal.
I did. I got a very unusual, and I'm used to talking shop with other psychics, international psychics. I don't care where you're from. So this morning I'm wrapping up my office, and my little alert goes off that I've got an Instagram message, and it's in a person that I haven't talked before. So I'm thinking, okay. They've seen a show, they've seen me on branding, they've seen me in an advertisement, whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, they're like, do you know anywhere's hiring, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, I hear this place is hiring, this place is hiring. These places currently are not. This one's just gone through a buyout. Because everyone, if in this industry, who's hiring, who's firing, who's eating dog food.
Right.
And then they go, well, I understand U.S. advisors sell their accounts. Would you sell your account to me for $35,000?
Oh, which, I mean, to the average person sounds like a pretty good deal. Like, what, an advisor with a 20-year track history is worth more than $35,000? What?
Yes, I know my market evaluation. It is much more than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Much, much more than that. So I was like, no. And furthermore, I wouldn't do that to my brand.
Yeah, because that's going to get ugly quickly. Because there's going to be a you out there that isn't you.
Right.
So I just find it interesting that 35,000. That's an interesting number.
Right.
Like, I wonder where they came up with that.
Well, that's a good question too. I mean, we know what the marketing team came back and told us what our evaluation was.
Right. I'm interested what caused them to think like 35,000 was going to be a number that you would respond to.
Me too. Like, what are we doing here? Are we looking at feedback and timesing it by $1?
Yeah, there you go. Well, I was going to say, or was that just like a standard rate they offer everyone?
Possibly.
And perhaps they're surprised you said no?
Well, apparently this was a larger issue because immediately I took it to my management and they went, very interesting, very interesting. Do you have a screenshot of that? Well, of course, here you go.
Yeah, here you go.
Why wouldn't I have a screenshot? I, know how to track your shit. And that article is not for us to talk about. That's send it to the minions.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, interesting. And apparently that set off a lot of meetings, and and this has been a problem, and this is a continuing problem. So we have to do a backup story to get to this story, because you have to understand what occurred first before you can understand what occurred today.
Right.
So first of the year, one of the companies, and we can't mention the overall company or the little companies, closed down the Indian and Pakistani market. Matter of fact, we just blacked out all the East Coast. Michael,
Yeah.
get your cat. She wants treats.
that's one way to describe it. Uh, so no, well, but they shut down for a reason.
Yes.
These markets because there was a giant scam problem.
Right.
In which
off network, they were scamming customers out of money. The advisors were switching and buying profiles like fucking stock market, apparently.
Well, or continuing to operate by buying profiles from different users.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say probably attacking dormant profiles, like people that hadn't been logged in a while.
Right.
So, because we lost a fair number of advisors during the panini.
Right.
Like that was one of the ugly parts for you was like there were a lot of memoriams.
Oh yeah.
That kind of happened right together.
Like a lot of people said we're taking the train the fuck out of here. Think you good today. Have a great whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, so is this a normal thing? And they're like, yeah, we had to change our hiring process because of it.
Yep. Well, and I think this is influencing a lot of the things that we're starting to see happen on the networks.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them are doing, some form of revamp.
Right.
That requires a new profile photo.
Right.
And I think those two things are tied together.
Mm-hmm.
Looking to elicit a new photo from you on fairly short notice.
Yes.
In the hopes that,
right.
If you're you can quickly get to this. If you're not you cannot.
Exactly. And you can't run to the Russian model that you bought pics off of 10 years ago and buy new ones.
Right. Either that or it's going to be a massive change if you do. Like, surprise!
I just can't imagine, okay? I've always had my face out there. I have never done under a different face. Like, I know I'm not the walking model I should look like. Don't worry, plastic surgery can do a lot of things. But, if someone has 30 years of experience, they should have some gray.
yeah. They should not necessarily look like a super model, like underwear model.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not really 30 years experience.
Right.
What that looks like.
Right.
Typically.
Right.
I mean, unless you started like doing this when you were like 5.
Right.
Like, that's about the only way you get supermodel and 30 years experience.
30 years experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we serious at this point? I'm just like, not even. Like, I hear, we all hear the criticism of the industry, but this is awful. Can you imagine someone expecting to talk to me and they get, hello, this little Asian woman.
Well, anyone who doesn't like fit anywhere near the appearance.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably already been seen a little with some of those who bought model packs. Either that or there's a lot of forgiving people who go, okay, you don't quite look like, or you don't sound like you look.
Right.
And I'm sure there are some that can really mask it and be like, what is this, like get really into the role play of I am this person, what would I sound like? how would I speak? But there's limits to that.
Mm-hmm.
And no, we do want to take a moment and point out some many years ago we're using like, underwear model kind of
Right.
model packs. Some were like, this is someone who looks similar to me,
Mm-hmm.
but isn't me.
Right.
So those are the ones that probably did a lot better. Like, I could see that voice coming out of that person. That's just, like, just because it's a model pack doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
it's necessarily, underwear model.
Right.
So, it could just be more stock photography. Like, this is a person who is, in their 30s,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of model.
You're right. And then there are some that have had traditional photos. Like this has been, this is their symbol, this is their whatever. No, those are no longer going to be able to work. And a lot of advisors were upset about this. That no, you got to show your face. You're going to read publicly. You're going to read publicly.
Right.
Yeah.
Although that does pose issues for some people.
Right.
And it is a risk. Because there are some really great advisors out there, I'm sure, that can give you lots of amazing advice on like bad relationships,
right.
because they've been through them, and because they have, the T-shirt and the scars from the emergency room. That back up, right, and the police reports and all the things. Right. And maybe in a situation where like this is employment that they could do because they could work around showing their face.
Right.
Until now.
Right.
So they're out there, they give great advice, and they obscure, their identity a bit so that, someone doesn't try to track them down or know that it's them, or,
right.
Like,
and I can understand that. And I get that. I mean, because we all unfortunately have stalkers. That's the fun part of, being a public figure and that. But it's like, oh, come on. Enough.
Right. But it would have been advice back in the day.
Back in the day.
It's like, if you're not comfortable showing your real face, then go buy a model pack.
Right.
Like, a fair number of people did it.
So, and Keen is launching their new site. We just got the announcement. Shoot, I was looking at it at dinner. Like, that's been our day. We even broke our phone regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, their new site will be beginning to get launched tomorrow.
So new stuff will be going up.
Yes. And I hope it's not these colors, because these are the same colors as Etsy.
Okay.
Like, literally, I was like, did you use the Etsy template in MailChimp, King?
Ooh, that's just wrong.
That's just true. That's just true.
Hey, sometimes it happens.
Right.
I wonder if they'll have everything to go with rebranded email tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be interesting. That will be interesting. Hello, Alexa. How are you? Hello, Miss Brenda. Yes, bring me the wine. All the wine. There's mixed drinks with Red Bull in them. Let's have some of those tonight.
Oh, no. Drunk and energetic. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. Alrighty. So let's move on to the news stories. You've got one in your box.
I do. So head straight into the AI story.
Yes.
All right. The Beatles are releasing their final record. AI helped make it possible. So artificial intelligence has been used to extract John Lennon's voice from an old demo to create the last Beatles record. Decades after the band broke up, Paul McCartney said Tuesday. McCartney, 80, told the BBC that the technology was used to separate the Beatles' voices from background sounds during the making of director Peter Jackson's 2021 documentary series, The Beatles Get Back. The new song is set to be released later this year, he said. Jackson was able to extricate John's voice from a ropey little bit of cassette and a piano, McCartney told BBC Radio. He could separate them with AI. He'd tell the machine, that's a voice, this is a guitar, lose the guitar. So when we came to make what will be the last Beatles record, it was a demo that John had that he worked on. He added, we were able to take John's voice and get it pure through this AI. So then we could mix the record as you would do. It gives you some sort of leeway. McCartney didn't identify the name of the demo, but the BBC and others said it was likely to be an unfinished 1978 love song by Lennon called Now and Then. The demo was included on a cassette labeled For Paul that McCartney had received from Lennon's widow, Yoko Ono, the BBC reported. McCartney described AI technology as kind of scary but exciting, adding, we will just have to see where that leads. Yeah. The same technology enabled McCartney to duet virtually with Lennon, who was murdered in 1980 on I've Got a Feeling last year at Glastonbury Festival. Holly Herndon, a multidisciplinary artist with a doctorate in composition from Stanford University, used nascent AI machine technology on her last album, 2019's Proto, and developed Holly Plus, an online protocol that allows the public to upload tracks to be reinterpreted and performed by a deepfake version of her voice. She theorizes that the Beatles recording was likely created using a process called source separation. Source separation has become much easier to do with machine learning. This allows you to extract a voice from a recording, isolating it so that you might accompany it with new instrumentation, she explains. That differs from a deepfake vocal. A deepfake is an entirely new vocal line spawned from a machine learning model trained on old vocal lines, she said. While it does not appear to be happening in this example, it is now possible to spawn infinite new media from analyzing older material, which is a similar process in spirit to the song. So, yeah, we have a lot going on there.
It is, but I also think this was a good way to get some of the unfinished music that's sitting in the vaults out there. Prince, for one, he had a vault, and I'm not talking like the little lock safe that goes underneath your bed. No, I'm talking a room, 4-foot steel walls, vault full of music that was never released. Maybe this will enable them to get it ready to release. What is her? Stevie Nicks. She's another one that has cassette after cassette after cassette of music that's never been released. Maybe this will enable her to be able to release it with the quality that was performed with the artists that were alive then.
Well, and it is an opportunity, though then again, I wouldn't necessarily get my hopes up because you're not getting the full live artist process.
Right.
Like there was a reason that was still left on a cassette.
Yep.
And didn't make it to being produced. Obviously because of his death, but more importantly, it hadn't necessarily reached that point.
Right.
Where the artist was comfortable enough to be like, schedule the studio time. I'm ready to go do this.
Right. Or I'm
ready to go do this.
Right. And, studio time used to be a big thing. Now they can almost do studio time on the back of a tour bus. Yeah. Celine Dion has a whole album produced by, her late husband that hasn't been released. 30 songs. That's more than an album. That's a box set.
Yeah, pretty much. That's easily a 3-disc set.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know that I would necessarily go, this is going to be the greatest Beatles album ever. Appreciate it for what it is, the opportunity for music that was not under ordinary circumstances ever going to see the light of day.
Right.
Finally, at least getting, and it's going to be kind of raw.
Right.
but finally at least being heard.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean is a wonderful thing.
I think it's an amazing thing. And for a
Oh,
new
absolutely.
Beatles song, I mean, for the Beatles in general, okay, they came out in what, the 50s?
With the
Yeah, I
Beatles?
think the 50s. When did they pass out? And when did the girls pass out in California? That was had to be the 50s.
Um, I thought it was the 60s. In the 60s.
Okay.
Okay, so Beatlemania started. Um, yeah, so it was the 60s, 63,
Okay.
where. Oh, the coinage of Beatlemania. Okay, here we go. So yeah, it looks like June of 63, July of 63,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Okay. So, it came about very quickly,
Mhm.
and, there's not been a lot of new music since, of course, the murder of the one Beatle. So I think this is great for the Beatle fans. And, I don't think that, comparatively, okay, they're used to music skipping because the needle has a piece of dust on it. They're used to music having pops and cracks in it. I mean, have you listened to LPs here lately? They aren't the best. I don't think that I don't think they can recreate that experience. But a
Oh
new
no.
song, oh, I can't wait to see what it does
Well,
on.
they can relay an LP. That's become the new thing.
Ah,
Is everything old is new again?
mm-hmm.
We've come full circle. Now everyone wants their music on vinyl. Talk about what we thought was a dead technology.
Oh, it's a dead technology. It's dead. This house will not have another record player in it. That is forbidden by order of the insanity. We are in the digital era. Buy it on MP3 or 4 or 5 or 50. I don't care. We don't have the storage space.
Looks like October 2022, a special edition of Revolver was released featuring unreleased demos, studio outtakes, the original mono mix, and a new stereo remix using demixing technology developed by Peter Jackson's Wingnut Films.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's that. So that looks like the last thing that really got done
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Right.
Trying to see if they released anything new. Because sometimes that does happen. They continue to release stuff even after.
Right. Well, and then it also benefits the families.
Yeah.
I mean, because Paul's family's going to get a cut. Oh,
No, it looks like they went straight into. Well, 1970 technically was the breakup.
right.
Trying to see. But no, I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just not quite a Beatles file.
No, you're not a Beatle. Your mother would be
I mean,
so.
don't get me wrong, I like John Lennon, but like the Beatles,
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot they did that I'm like, yeah, that's totally my jam.
No, there isn't much of my jam there. There's a lot of my nightmares, but that's okay.
Do what now?
Oh God, we all live in a yellow submarine. Used to play every freaking morning before morning shift came on.
Oh Lord. Oh, that's just mean.
That's just nightmarish. That's the Xbox that the silent. Oh, whatever they.
I mean, granted, Microsoft ruined with the release of Windows 95. They ruined. Is it Start Me Up?
Yes.
Yeah, they ruined that for me and a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up to that because my dad woke up before I did, and he would be watching the news first thing in the very, very early morning.
Mm-hmm.
And every morning I woke up to that song over and over and over. And it's like, no, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like, that is just, no. I thought it was a good song before that. After that, I'm like, no, I can never listen to this again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Microsoft got their money's worth out of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure the Beatles got the money's worth out of that.
Well, you know.
Yeah. But no, there's just certain music from, the restaurant days, the nursing days, and then, I don't know, the old network days that I could not listen to. And we recently ran into this. I about threw Joe's phone out of the car.
Yeah, there are certain sounds you can't stand.
No.
But no, and I thought I was right, and I had to double check. The Rolling Stones Start Me Up.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Beatles. How would the Beatles make? Or was that one of those like long, convoluted, like
yes,
one band owned the other effectively?
Well, they pass songs around.
Well, it's
like Harper Valley PTA. There's like 18 different versions of it.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of songs that have a lot of. Like, did anyone not record this?
Apparently, Willie Nelson. That was the only one that did not record the Harper Valley PTA.
Oh, now his fans are going to ask for that one.
Hi, Shannon. I'm glad you were doing your nails and doing your self-care. All right, guys, let's take a break, and when we come back, we've already got another one in the can ready for you.
Oh, most covered song in history is Yesterday by the Beatles.
Ah.
There you go. Anyway, take it away.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to rowantempleoflight@gmail.com or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
Welcome back, Goblins! My name is Jason, and I am the host of the Esoteric Book Club, a podcast that examines titles on the magical, paranormal, the mysterious, and the strange. I release 2 episodes a month, in which I review books on esoteric topics, recap news of the weird, and conduct interviews with authors, practitioners, and experiencers. The Esoteric Book Club can be found on every major podcast service, or can be streamed directly from esotericbookclub.org.
Hi, I'm Aeson Knight. I provide tarot readings covering everything from love and relationships to your life questions and your most spiritual answers. And also, I provide a lot of guidance in finances and divorces and all those relationship problems. So, if you'd like to get a reading from me privately, not on air, you can feel free to do so by visiting aesonknight.com and booking your appointment. I also provide on-demand services, so if your life is a little chaotic, you can go ahead and click that Call Now button there on my site. It'll connect you to Keen, and if you've not been with Keen before, you'll get 3 free minutes to talk with me, so that's great for a quick answer question. All right, guys, back to the show. Enjoy. Bye, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I provide a blended reading consisting of mediumship, psychic, and tarot cards. A reading from me can cover any guidance you need from relationships with your partner or your family, spiritual, financial, any questions you may need clarity on. If you would like to book an appointment with me, check out my website, tracyvann.com. That's TracyVann.com. I have bookings from 15 to 60 minutes you may choose from. That helps if you just have a quick question, need an answer, or if you're looking for a reading in more depth, I'm here to provide the guidance and clarity for you. Let's just figure it out. Bye.
All right.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, so take us in.
Okay, where are we starting? The driver gets fined?
Yes.
All right. So driver gets fined $129,544 after latest speeding episode in Finland. A wealthy driver has been fined 121,000 euros, $129,554 for speeding in Finland, where such penalties are calculated on the basis of an offender's income. I really regret the matter. The main newspaper for the islands, an autonomous region of Finland in the Baltic Sea, quoted Anders Wickloff as saying in an article published Monday. Wickloff was driving 82 kilometers per hour, 51 miles per hour, in a 50 kilometer per hour, 31 miles per hour zone when police stopped and ticketed him Saturday. Along with getting the fine, he had his driver's license suspended for 10 days, the newspaper said. It wasn't the first time Wickloff was caught driving too fast. In 2018, he was fined 63,680 euros, $68,176, and he had to cough up 95,000 euros, 102,000 5 years earlier. A native of Ireland, Wickloff is chairman of a holding company that includes businesses in the logistics, helicopter services, real estate, trade, and tourism sectors. The archipelago sits at the entrance to the Gulf of Bothnia, between the Finnish city of Turku on mainland Finland's west coast and Sweden's capital of Stockholm. Oh, goodness. That's a lot for speeding, but, we've often said is like, or I have often said, often thought, often even heard that quite frankly, like the fines for moving violations in the U.S. being solely universal, like it is the amount that it is, really have to strike a balance between being too much for someone in poverty to pay and too little to affect, someone doing it.
Right.
That quite frankly, if something is $150 fine, if you're talking about someone who is living below the poverty level, $150 is a shit ton of money.
Right.
Might as well be $15,000 because right. Versus someone who is very affluent, it's just, the tax for doing the thing.
Right.
If you park somewhere and it's $150 fine,
that's
the tax for convenience or for doing it.
Right.
Like, and it's no big deal. Like, this isn't going to keep them from eating that night.
Right. Or that month or that year. So I don't know. I think that it would be great to have this in the U.S. But then I'll often wonder, would that just give them more license?
I don't know. I think in some instances it would definitely allow more leeway. Although we've seen the one judge that we both really like, I think out of Vermont, or New Hampshire, one of the two, I think. He often plays with like, okay, what are we doing here today?
Yeah.
You know, like, is this legit? Like, or more importantly, is the punishment going to fit the crime here?
Well,
In terms of this is where you're at in your life, does it really make sense?
right. Well, in terms of like a woman got divorced that morning.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband got a speeding ticket on his way from divorce court. She got the ticket because she was the owner of the vehicle on record. And he is like, "Are you serious?" "Yes, sir. Here you go."
Oh, Rhode Island. It's actually Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah, this is let's see if I can get his name. Oh, come on, give me his name. Oh, Associated Press. There we go. Oh, come on. Their URL shortening service. Okay, so yeah, this just circles back around itself.
Yeah.
But anyway. But yeah, no. Anyway, it's the municipal judge in Rhode Island.
Yeah. So, part of me is like, we should up fines for rich people, but I also think we should tax the rich too.
Right.
Which in Finland, everyone pays the same tax.
Mm-hmm.
I think 12% across board.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone pays 12%. No matter what you make, you pay 12% of your income to taxes to take care of everything. Healthcare, government, all of that.
Absolutely. Well, and more to the point, it more equitably
Yes.
distributes taxes. It more equitably takes care of fines,
Mm-hmm.
so that it isn't just a tax for doing a thing.
Right.
You don't see it as like the money between your couch cushions that paid for you to park somewhere, or the money between the couch cushions that let you get to a meeting faster.
Mm-hmm. Brenda
Like,
says he needs to give up and hire a driver. It would be cheaper after all of this.
Yep.
I concur. We actually had a weird, we've had some weirdness going on around here.
Okay.
Well, normally if we're together, you're driving.
I know, right?
Yeah. And it's like, except when A, I rent a car, and B, this morning, like, I don't know why I drove.
Well, you had your keys and your wallet, and you're like, let's go.
Yeah. And you're like, you're driving.
We're going now.
Like, okay.
Like, you were still awake. I was waking up. Like, I wasn't quite there yet.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm glad you thought I was still awake. Thank you very much.
Well, I knew you were fighting sleep, but still.
Yeah.
Like, I think you were still technically more awake than I was. And by the way, it's Judge Frank Caprio.
Yes.
For Caught in Providence.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But no, he's very nice to people. Way nicer than I would be.
Well, but I think that's kind of gets to sort of how we have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not mostly because we don't have a graduated system.
Right.
So you have to find some kind of like, is this actually fair?
Right.
Like, it's one thing to take someone's license, like, for instance, take someone's license away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to create a set of obstacles so high, they are never going to be able to get it back. They're never going to be able to afford this.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a far worse penalty.
Right.
Than you would for the next person that walks in your courtroom charged with the same thing that has more money.
Right.
And it's like, that's not really
fair.
We should be equal under the eyes of the law. But in a lot of cases, we throw penalties out
mm-hmm.
that are fixed in legislation. They're not something the judge themselves can sit here and be like, okay, it recommends like $500, but I can set that at my discretion.
Right.
I can. So the only thing the judge can do is just be like, yeah, we're gonna ignore that.
Well, you think about it, if the judge looked and said, all right, you're at 4%. What was your income this year? Oh, okay, you're going to pay 4% of that for a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
At, say, $50,000 a year. I don't know. I'm going to grab the handy-dandy computer calculator.
Well, 1% would be $500.
Right.
So 4% would be $2,000.
Yeah, for a speeding ticket.
I mean, there are instances. I don't know that that's where you want to start.
Okay.
But if this is a recurrent problem and the first fine and everything you go through didn't stop you,
Right.
I don't have a problem with the judge having a lot more leeway to be like, all right, we're going to make this stop. Like, we're going to make you pay till it hurts.
Right.
And then maybe you'll get it through your brain to stop doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, we deal with a lot of people that, are very, very rich and wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
That, these little 150, 400, 500, even like multi-thousand penalties, like
Mm-hmm.
2,000, 3,000, 4, 5, 6 for like DWIs and things like that,
Right.
are not an actual deterrent.
Right.
Like, it's cute and laughable. Like, I make $1 million a year.
Right.
I make $1 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you going to stop Jeff Bezos with?
Cookies.
Do what?
He has this large sugar problem. You stop him by giving him cookies.
No, you don't send him to court and give him cookies. That's just cruel and unusual. But I mean, if he's who appears in your courtroom for speeding,
Mm-hmm.
for like multiple offense speeding, not just pay the fine and walk out, but this has become a serious problem. Like, dude, slow the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've already fined you the basic speeding fee.
Right.
Now we're getting to a point that you've done this so much that's not getting through to you.
Right.
We need to make this hurt so you learn the harm you're causing.
Right.
And figure out, this isn't a game I want to play anymore. I got to figure out something better.
True.
Again, and I'm not saying Jeff Bezos does speed or doesn't speed. I'm just using him as an example because of the extreme amount of income he has.
Right.
And total wealth. Like, you're going to charge him $2,000?
For what?
He just made more than that in the time it took me to say that.
He just paid his lawyer more than that in tips.
I mean, like, so the ability to sit there and go, look, your net wealth alone says you can more than afford the basic fine.
Right.
Like, we gave you a free pass and went, okay, figure it out, do better. Now we're coming back and going, all right, you're going to learn this lesson today. Like, we're going to make it hurt. We're going to collect an obscene amount of money from you.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you'll sit there and think about it before you do it again.
Maybe. And, Brenda loves when he asks the children if mommy should pay a fine.
I think my favorite, or it may also have been part of my introduction to him as well, was the guy who walked to court that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And literally had to ask, like, do I have to pay that today?
Yeah.
Because, like, he had, pennies.
Right.
As in, his total bank balance was, pure pennies.
Yeah.
And it was this fear he was going to get arrested and go to jail that day because he wasn't going to be able to pay.
Right.
And the judge is like, okay, what's going on? Walk me through this.
Yes. There's another one on there, and I think I like the wife that got divorced because she actually got nothing held against her. Although I think he went after the person that it?
The ex-husband.
The ex-husband.
Yeah. Well, now there's another one I like, and it's the older married couple that the car was in her name,
Mm-hmm.
or at least she was first on the registration.
Right.
He was the one driving, and she just walked in, been like, my husband was speeding, and he got the ticket.
Right.
Like, she just threw him under the bus.
Right.
Like,
Let me run over you. Yep.
Yep. She was like, not my ticket, not my problem.
They're like, he's an asshole. I'm not dealing with him.
Yeah, like, nope, he did it. He did it. And the judge got cracked up like, God, you didn't even give him a chance.
Nope.
Like, so what do you think I should do to him?
Beating too good, Your Honor?
It was a funny case.
Yeah, but, you know, he's very comedic and very funny. And, I like his style.
Well, and I think it's really helpful to have a judge that gets that not everything's that serious.
Right.
I mean, some things are and should be, treated with a lot of respect, but other things, it's like, okay, we can joke around about this.
Well, or
like,
what I can't tell is sometimes he's serious and he comes off like he's joking around.
Well, I think he sometimes uses humor to disarm people to get to the bottom of it.
Right.
Like, okay, what are you? What are you doing?
What have you done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I still think that's kind of fair sometimes. Sometimes a case isn't the case.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the case. Like, the reality has nothing to do with the case. But it's like the reality informs it.
A $50,000 ticket.
Europe does a lot of that percentage stuff, and people legit get 50,000. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
If that, and again, if we're talking about like parity,
mm-hmm.
that someone, if the equivalent is someone earning $10,000 a year,
right,
gets like a $200 fine, which is hefty,
right,
when you make that little money a year.
Right.
Versus, you make $1 million.
Right.
And a $50,000 fine really, like, it's enough to smack it into your head. Maybe you don't want to do this because if it's going to go up next time, this could get bad.
Yeah.
So choose carefully when you do this. Versus it being the same fine and like, no, just like, put a lawyer on a retainer and I'll speed all I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just send them to court with it.
Exactly. Like, take the visa and go pay this stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So maybe the people aren't getting the idea of hybrid work.
Oh, why hybrid return to office mandates aren't as flexible as they seem. Touted as dynamic and agile, a fixed oh God. Dynamic and agile, really? This didn't work for programming, but you're going to use it for return to remote.
Okay. Seeing this pitch also for fucking networks.
Yeah, I know. Touted as dynamic and agile, a fixed pattern of in-person or remote working can actually deprive workers of the autonomy they need to thrive. As they continue to navigate return to office plans, many companies are settling on hybrid setups, a work week split between the office and the home, featuring a few fixed days of in-person working, generally with a standard 9-to-5 schedule. Largely, these arrangements are touted as fluid and agile, a compromise offering workers much of the control and autonomy they expect following the pandemic, but the very nature of strict in-office dates and hours implemented top-down by bosses may not actually provide workers as much flexibility as advertised. Often, it's giving employees a hybrid schedule of where they should do their jobs without any flexibility, says Tim Oldman, founder and CEO of employee experience research firm Leesman, based in London. It's shoehorning them into fixed patterns that may not best support their work. For some workers, this really isn't simply inconvenient or disappointing. Less flexibility disproportionately affects some employees more than others, particularly caregivers and workers with disabilities. Fixed hybrid policies often don't address the return to office challenges faced by employees with different experiences of the workplace, says Oldman. Although hybrid schedules vary, the most common ones strike a balance between 3 office and 2 remote days a week, or vice versa. Often these in-person days are fixed instead of selected ad hoc, with the aim to consistently get teams together or enable scheduled collaboration or in-person meetings. In theory, this compromise is a fair deal to both the employers who want their workers back in seats and their employees, as they can hold on to some remote work and subsequent flexibility. Workers continue to prize their autonomy. In May 2023 survey of 2,105 U.S. workers by market research firm The Harris Poll, 69% of current or former remote workers say the independence that comes with remote work is more important than the professional benefits of in-person work. They also report that the flexibility of remote working means they're more able to speak freely, 74%, and are happier with their own work, 72%. So, yeah, indeed, a fixed hybrid schedule benefits many workers. The Harris Poll data showed 45% said they preferred a set schedule. There will always be a subset of people that prefer certainty in knowing where they'll be every day, says Matthew Davis, an associate professor at Leeds University Business School, UK. For this section of the workforce, a fixed hybrid pattern confers both flexibility and structure. It enables them to work from home and craft their remote days while still enjoying the benefits of in-person working, such as socializing and collaboration. However, inherently, these mandates are actually very rigid, with strict requirements around which days to be present and the working hours on those days. People tend to respond very well to feeling they've had a choice and control over their life in general, says Davis. For most people, a fixed schedule is their least preferred option of hybrid working. Generally, the less control people have, the less good their outcomes. Importantly, rigid office hours hit certain workers particularly hard, say experts. Those who prefer to work more flexibly may have caregiving responsibilities for their family, and that's disproportionately women, says Brent Kessel, Vice President Advisory in the HR practice of consulting firm Gartner, based in Virginia. Alongside parents and carers, disabled or neurodiverse workers may also prefer the flexibility of working from home. Those with physical or cognitive impairments are less likely to be willing to commute into the workplace when everything is set up for them at home, says Oldman, and this may be a large swath of workers. In our research, between 15 to 18% of workers self-select as having an impairment that impacts them at work. Experts are concerned that mandating hybrid schedules deprives sections of the workforce the flexibility and autonomy that enable them to thrive. There's much talk of diversity, equity, and inclusion, understanding employee diversity, recognizing talent, and providing solutions for those employees, says Oldman. A fixed hybrid schedule risks us going backwards in terms of awareness and addressing certain workers' distinct needs. So, yeah, you want me to keep going, or we get to branch out?
Let's talk about it, because we're seeing this a lot. We're seeing this in the psychic industry. Like knows, my schedule has to be in on Sunday, or everybody has a fucking tizzy.
But you still get to self-select it.
Somewhat. Now, we both
right. Well, but you get what I'm saying. Like, to an extent, you are self-selecting your schedule if you really want to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, if we do that, Joe, keep Aeson away from those cute little sports cars he likes. Yeah. I'm there. But no, But no, getting back to I think the taste of freedom got workers pretty hard during the panini.
Well, I think it showed them that they could technically do their job from anywhere on the planet.
And like it.
And like
and
it.
Enjoy it.
And want to work more.
And do it better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there are some workers who performed worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like inevitably, it's not going to work for everyone.
Right.
But I think there are enough workers that got out of, the cube farm.
Right.
That got out of the cube farm mentality.
Right.
And were actually able to relax.
Right.
While working.
Right.
And that can be like, there's a huge difference. And I always noticed it, like, when everyone finally left at 5:00,
Mm-hmm.
like, I could flip and breathe.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, or coming in on Saturdays, I was way more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And even the stuff I did from home, it was because it was things that I could focus on and
Right.
not have the interruption of a ringing phone and coworkers and talking and all the things.
Right.
Like, it's why there were some things I chose to, like, I'll just do that when I get home, or I'll do that before I come in, or I'll do that this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That versus like sitting there and trying to do those from my desk.
Right.
In the middle of the day.
Right.
Like, so and that can be a very big deal.
Right.
Some jobs, just the act of being around other people while trying to do them makes them harder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, programming is not an easy job when you're around a bunch of other people.
Right. Well, on my pay side of that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like being around people when I'm working. Like if they said, we're getting you an office, I tell them to, great, fill it with popcorn. I'll be there when we hit a 6-digit year.
Okay.
Like, I don't work cube farm. I've never worked in a cube farm, ever. I don't like, there's no reason I have to deal with people in a corporate environment because I don't speak corporate.
You barely wear pants appropriate for corporate. I'm just saying.
True. So no, I see, like, I've never understood this idea.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, it is what works best for everyone, and there are some people that do work better in an office environment, that do get more out of a physical office environment. And that's great for them. Let them come back. Let them work from the office.
Right.
Hands down, like, make them happy.
Right.
Like, it'll be worth it. But for many, it's never been a good fit. And it's one more layer of stress that you can easily eradicate and let someone do their best work by not being there.
Right.
So that's always been my theory.
Agreed.
So yeah, I do hate that they're really trying to force this back into the control. And that's really where it's all at, is that artificial control.
Right. And see, here's the question though. Where is and this is what I would be asking every manager, what are you afraid of? That I'm going to do more work? That I'm going to be more productive? Now, if my productivity is falling, I could see being forced back into an office. But if
for many managers, it's the ability to justify their existence, their role, and the fact that they work there in that position.
Right.
That really took a hit during the panini.
Right.
Because what they were able to do working remotely was so much less than the level of control that they could demonstrate in the office.
Right.
And for many, it became very much a panic.
Right.
Because they didn't know how to do anything but micromanage.
Right.
Which ironically becomes even more obvious when you're working from home. Like if you work in an office and you think you might have a boss that could be a micromanager, oh, you're damn certain of it when you work from home.
Well, true, but at the same time on that page,
Mm-hmm.
I've got 11 different managers and multiple other people that I talk to and report to. It was 3:41 this morning, and I was having a conversation with my manager in Germany. Micromanaging can occur anywhere. I mean, if a company can wipe your computer of every mention of their company from your computer remotely, with CVR, you can micromanage out the elbow.
Well, but it's not like you were being micromanaged this morning. I want to make that clear.
Oh,
like
no, I'm never micromanaged.
Well, you were reporting an issue at a time in which someone in Germany was available to take your call. And
We have
have that
many
conversation.
early morning meetings. Like, I think,
Right.
I think I'm getting her into the clue, because what's weird is she always tries to make it fit us East Coasters, and we're like, half the team is in Germany, the other half is in Britain, the other half is in the US. Let's meet in the mornings, because the night team has been up all night.
Yep. And y'all are still here.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. We can do this. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So I've been trying to have water cooler talk with her at 3 a.m. so she gets the point.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll find out who the asshole is.
All righty.
Hi, this is Sandy Starr. I'm a psychic and I work on Keen, and I have been working on Keen for over 22 years. You can reach me on 01068. I deal with a myriad of subjects, but I do specialize in relationships, marriages, divorces, is he cheating, is she cheating, whatever the dynamic of the relationship is, I will guide you through. I've got amazing radar for cheaters, so I will tell you the truth if he or she is cheating. I can help with any subject you need me to help you with besides relationships, and I look forward to hearing from you. Again, you can reach me through Keen. My extension number is 01068. I really look forward to hearing from you and helping you with whatever you need me to help you with.
Hi, I'm Tracy Van. I'm a psychic medium and I work with tarot cards. I also practice Reiki and access bars. I would like to share with you what a reading with me is like. It is a blended reading of psychic and mediumship, and I deliver these messages exactly as they come through. I'm not going to mince words or add any padding. I am a professional, reliable, and honest communicator. I have readings available anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour. You can book a reading with me at tracyvan.com. That's TRACYVANN.com. And no, I'll always tell you exactly what you need to hear.
Hey everybody, Natalie here from The Pendulum's Path. If you are in need of guidance, direction, spiritual connection, healing, or more, you would come to the right place. I have worked as a psychic and a medium for over 3 years, connecting people from all over the world with their loved ones, giving them insight and guidance into their current situations, their past healings, their blockages, and what they need to know in order for them to have a better future. It would be my absolute honor if you would come to my website at www.thependulumspath.com. Visit my shop. I have a whole bunch of crystals, oils, balms, mystery boxes, and more. And visit my services. I offer 15-minute, 30-minute, and 60-minute sessions. I also have email readings available if you're not comfortable with the one-on-one session with me, or if you just want to try me out. I encourage you to come visit me at the Pendulum's Path, and let's get you back on the right track today.
Hey everybody, Lady Gwendolyn here from Rowan Temple of Light, and I'm here to tell you about our events this summer. First up is Beltane in the Hills, May 13th, and that is from 1 to 6. We have entertainment, we have a bunch of vendors, we have a fairy photo shoot. It's going to be exciting. You having any questions, reach out to Earth Magic or to myself. After that, we have Central West Virginia Pagan Pride, August 19th. That's at Holly Gray Park from 11 to 5 for the day. And we will have Sarah Masters coming down from Pittsburgh to be our keynote speaker. We have some great classes for that. So if you want to get involved, reach out to RowanTempleOfLight@gmail, or just follow us along on Facebook at Rowan Temple of Light, and we look forward to seeing you out in the community. See you there.
All right. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So plead your case.
Am I the asshole for accessing my dad's phone and deleting a pic of me? My family and family friends were abroad at a hotel resort. I, 18 male, don't like shirtless pictures of me being taken. This holiday, I was pretty much allowed to do my own thing. That was mainly sleep, eat, and enjoy the pool. To that end, my days only ever overlapped with family and family friends in the evenings. One night, halfway through the holiday, during dinner, I told them that I would come with them to the beach. The beach was a 10-minute walk away. I specifically said no photos at the beach, and they agreed to this. At this point also, it's been a fact for years that I don't like my photo being taken, so it's nothing new. Skip to next day, we were walking to the beach, and I remind them, please don't take any photos of me. At the beach, all is well with the world. I decide to put sun cream on and do this, and to do this, I take off my top. Then once done, I go for a swim in the sea. I didn't put my top back to swim because I didn't want it to get wet. In swimming, I'm swimming and my dad takes pictures of me without my consent. I shake my head, put my arms up, and tell him to stop, but he continues and smiles while doing so. I then start to confront him. Why did you do that? I specifically asked you not to. Then he goes to on the defensive. You're my son. I can take pictures of you if I want. I later sneak onto his phone and delete the pictures of myself, and he gets even more annoyed. Also, for anyone wondering, if he had asked me if he could take a photo, I would have put my shirt back on and let him. I understand that he wanted to take a pic of me to commemorate the time at the beach, and that's cool, but he did the one thing I asked him not to, and I know these photos go on Facebook, and that's my exact fear. I don't need a shirtless photo being seen by all of my extended family and friends. There is also the part where I know accessing things on people's phones is not cool, but I know he wasn't going to delete the pics. Am I the asshole? Part of me can really understand this because I'm going to assume, and I could be totally wrong, but I'll assume he's a bigger guy, and that is kind of it is a big guy thing. It is a big people thing. In which it's like, okay, please don't. Like, I'm not, or regardless, whatever reason, I'm not comfortable with my body. Please don't take pictures of me. I do not want this kind of attention. Like, you're just going to set off. You're going to take a good time and make it bad.
Right. So here's my bigger thing with this.
Okay.
It's the word consent.
Okay.
Okay. The consent of the issue is he asked, don't do this. Do not take pictures of me.
They agreed.
Yeah. You know, it's like if I go somewhere and we're going as a group with people, I make it very clear you are free to take all the pictures you want, but do not post them on the social media until we leave.
Right.
If you're including me in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you can post pictures of me after I'm gone.
Yeah.
Which, again, I think that's a reasonable request.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the request he made was reasonable.
Right.
If you were asking, is your dad the asshole? Absolutely, your dad's the asshole.
Yes.
But then we get into, okay, so this is the why.
Right.
And then we get to the heart of the matter, which is, and all of this led to, you went on your dad's phone,
Mm-hmm.
removed the photos.
Right.
Am I the asshole for that part? I mean, one, you didn't really give him a chance.
Right.
Like, you didn't ask,
Right.
will you delete those?
Right.
So fundamentally, you didn't really give him the opportunity to truly be an asshole.
Right.
And either not delete them and or post them publicly.
Right.
But then again, do you have to afford someone who's already violated you and your boundaries?
Right. I'm
Do
updating
you
the
really
poll,
have
by the way, everyone.
Do what now?
I'm adding another option to the poll.
Okay. Do you have to give someone the opportunity to do the right thing
Right.
when they've already broken a boundary?
Right.
And is it inherently wrong to break a pretty common boundary?
Yeah.
When they've already broken one of yours? Like, is this a fair tit for tat?
Right.
Like, as in, you took pictures of me without letting me consent and explicitly against my wishes.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. That's why I included the everyone is shitty here.
I mean, Dad is definitely an ass. I don't think anyone's an ass for not wanting their photo taken. Like, that's an individual thing, and there are a number of reasons. Right. Nor does there have to be one at all. Someone said no.
Right.
That's reasonable.
Well, and here's the more reasonable part to that. If he had, and this is where it hangs me, if he had asked to take a picture, I would have gotten out, put my shirt on.
Right. He was open to like, okay, if you reasonably ask, if you ask me like a human, then I would have been willing.
Right.
As long as I got to control how I looked a little bit by putting on a shirt. Okay, I would have agreed to this. But you didn't even ask, you just did it.
Right.
I think I almost have to go, okay, but what if in that moment he had just knocked the phone out of his dad's hands and broken it?
That would have been a problem for me. That's taking it a step farther to violence.
Well, but I'm not just saying, like you violently knock someone's phone out of their hands. Like it could have been a stop accident where you're like, stop, and you smack the phone, he drops it, it hits the ground, and kaboom.
Right.
Like, it's not a violent, like, boom, I'm going to knock you across the beach for doing this. Just, oops. Well, but here's what I'm saying is, I think in that instance, I would have had a reaction of, well, that's sort of, you brought that one on yourself.
Right.
Like, he did, like, if you're waving your hands at someone telling them to stop,
right,
that's a reasonable reaction to having someone do something against, like take a photo against your will.
Right.
To accidentally hit someone's phone, because again, not intentionally, but accidentally broke someone's phone, I would call that just desserts. Like, you got what you asked for.
Yeah.
Like, if you hadn't have done the wrong thing, your phone wouldn't be broken.
Right.
If that was the case, I could go with that. And be like, you're not the asshole because you broke your dad's phone because he was doing something he shouldn't have been.
Right.
When it accidentally got broken. But then there's the whole, like, you're literally taking his phone, accessing it and removing things from it. Which is, again, like, typically people would consent to that.
Right.
I don't know that I really want to encourage a world where we resolve one consent issue by creating another consent issue.
Right. Two wrongs don't make a right here. And I get that. That's why I'm like, we need to add the third option that we don't normally always keep up there. Everyone is shitty. First of all, dude is shitty because he needs to work on his self-worth, his self-image. I don't care if he's 500 pounds. He should feel comfortable taking his shirt off at the beach. He should be comfortable with his body and showing it off. That's something that dad needs to be working with to encourage. Taking photos against consent, it will not improve that.
No, you just made this all worse.
Right.
And here's the thing. I think I'm really going to come down on this one as not the asshole, but it is close.
I'm coming down as everyone is shitty.
I don't want to do that because I don't want to make what he did to take away the ability to share those photos worse than taking them.
Well, yeah, but he violated his dad's phone. That's even worse. There should have been a conversation. Okay, that was a violation of consent.
Yeah. Well, but it seems like there was an attempt at that, and literally his father's... Well, but he asked, why did you do that? I specifically asked you not to. And he said, you're my son. I can take pictures of you if I want.
Right.
And so, I think, but not for that sentence or that exchange, I could really be like, dude, you fucked up. Like, everyone's shitty here. But that exchange, I can't say I wouldn't do it.
Right.
I really can't. I mean, it may make me a shitty person in the asshole for doing it, but it's like, you're not going to stop me with that.
Right.
Like, you're going to be lucky I don't snap your phone in half is the way that's going to work out.
Right. But
because I'm going to be mad.
Right. But here's the thing, though. There was no chance for the father to delete the photos, just to challenge Joe's authority to take them. So that's where he also gets the ass. Both of them get the asshole award, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm going not the asshole. We'll see where the poll comes out.
Yeah, we'll see where the poll comes out. The poll is up. Please vote. And let's move on to relationship advice. And this one's a sticky one.
My 22 male, father 61 male, wants to meet up after abusing us for years. Too long, didn't read. My father was awful, and after 10 years of hurt, he wants to meet up to apologize, in quotes. So my female to male 22 father wasn't the greatest. When he wasn't threatening us, he was telling us we were worthless or just flat out ignoring us. So me and my two siblings, who we'll call Jane, female 25, and Jake, male 27, pretty much went no contact with him after he screamed at our mother because she didn't have all the details on a truck repair. Well, when I was 18, my parents divorced. Father found divorce papers in my mom's purse after he went through it and told my mom he wanted a divorce. Surprisingly, it was a pretty amicable divorce. So Jake and I went no contact with him for about 2 years while my mom and Jane went low contact with him. Well, after he screamed at my mom, we went pretty much no contact. Jake owes him a legal debt, so he went low contact until it is paid off. Well put out of the blue, he texted me, Jake and Jane, saying he wanted to meet up and offered pizza. Wouldn't say what it was about, just that he wanted to meet up. I told him we had plans, but they weren't set in stone. He called my mom and asked her what I meant, and she told him what I did. We had plans, but they weren't for sure yet, so he said, okay, just let me know, and left it at that. Well, those plans happened, so we didn't meet up with him, and we heard he went to the movies. Went to see the new Guardians, I believe. Well, fast forward about a week, and he still hasn't told us whatever he wanted to. So my mom comments, whatever he wanted, it couldn't have been too important. I shrugged and we left it at that. I texted him that night asking what he wanted, and tonight he finally got back to me after like 3 days. He's been in Indiana, I think. Well, apparently he wanted to explain his reasoning behind what he put us through and explain his side, so he finally understands why he did everything he did. I honestly don't care, nor do I want to hear it. I've been on the road to recovery ever since my attempt back in 2020, and I don't want him messing up my progress. I get scared every time I see him, and I have panic attacks every time a man gets angry around me. Even if they aren't mad at me, it scares me half to death. He still wants to meet up, but I don't know. Apparently, this was originally an Am I the Asshole?
Right.
Just FYI. Take it away.
No, you don't care. You don't care. He done damage. He continues to do damage. He has left permanent scars on you. There's no need to meet up. That case is closed. The damage is done. There's no repairing that damage. You can only work through that damage.
I'm trying to work through where he's at. The OP. As in, I can't really tell. Are you hopeful that maybe this might go somewhere? And like maybe you can finally get the father you well deserved. Like a decent father that you well deserved. Or are you just more curious and just like part of me doesn't care, but part of me also is like, I want to hear this one. Because it's okay to have that duality.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been there. I've had that with people where it's like, I don't want to hear it, but at the same time, I kind of want to hear it. Just to see how, like, fucked up it is.
I can understand wanting to watch the train wreck.
Yeah.
However, the human psyche is very much like a car. Okay, you can't repair it after it's damaged. You can Thondo over it, you can knock out the dents, you can improve the side of it, but it is no longer the original vehicle.
Right.
No, I have no use if I was in that situation, I have no use for that human.
I mean, you very well made the case why you aren't obligated.
Right.
I mean, that case is well met. I don't think you owe him anything personally. Like, it sounds like it was ugly before it finally hit a breaking point. Because quite frankly, you know, if you find your divorce papers because you went through your wife's purse, I can just go out on a limb and say this was a real ugly situation before she got the divorce papers, let alone that moment.
Right.
And quite frankly, the fact that, you know, in seeing them, he wanted a divorce, I'm gonna like quickly figure out, yeah, probably a major raging narcissist.
Right.
Because that's kind of typical for divorce situations with a narcissist, by the way, is you look to leave them and they want to get in front of it and leave you.
Right.
So that they can badmouth you, and it was all, you know.
Right.
About what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
But
at the other side of that, no. If I was in OP's position, I'd have no interest in that person.
Yeah.
My comment to them would be, why are you texting me?
I mean, sometimes, though, you really want to have that moment. And again, this is the problem with a narcissist, is if you ever think you can talk to a narcissist like they're a real adult human with empathy for others, you can't. That's the narcissistic problem.
Right.
They don't have empathy for others. You're never going to make them understand
right.
what they did to you because they don't understand what they do to people. which is really sad, but it doesn't mean you have to take the burden
Right.
of being the punching bag who gets dealt the narcissistic abuse.
Right.
But I can
You
understand.
need to set yourself back.
Right.
And that's the bigger problem. Set yourself back in your own healing from their damage.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would do it.
Nope.
I don't think I would explain why or give him the satisfaction of even being told no.
Right.
Like, you can ghost that. You can ghost your dad.
Yes.
You can totally ghost your dad on this one and not feel bad about it.
Right.
Is where I'm at. Like,
Well, I'm right there with you. Ghost him, whatever you want to call it. No. A person.
Quit your father.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, and he's not done the job, so why get him the title?
Fair enough. I found sperm donor is a lovely alternative phrase.
Mm-hmm.
It really truly is.
I like the human dildo, but you know.
Do what now?
Human dildo.
Ew, no. Human broken dildo, maybe, but
still.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, you know, useless, bag of bones, dead man walking.
But anywho, but no, I do, and it sounds like you are working really hard on your therapy and progress.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you all the luck with that.
Right.
I really truly do. I don't think this is going to be a step in a positive direction, especially not right now, because
Right.
I mean, if you're still I have panic attacks every time a man gets angry around me, and it scares you half to death. Like, you're only 3 years out from what sounds like a unaliving attempt.
Mm-hmm.
You're really like not giving me anything that says, yeah, you're totally ready for this.
No.
And I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, you're just really not giving me anything that says, oh yeah, this is a good idea.
And I think that's an important point,
mm-hmm.
is realizing where you're at. Because this is what people don't get a lot of times, is people go sorry, and you're not even ready to hear the apology.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
I don't want to hear it. And then they come back.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I apologized to them, but they didn't want to. They said they didn't want to hear it. You apologize. That doesn't mean that they have to be ready to accept the apology, or if the apology was even ready to be accepted. So no.
Well, and some things just need time before you can apologize, though typically, like, severe abuse as a child, like, because there's always that mixture where you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want the apology. You want to understand what was going on. You want to, like, make it make sense, because that's what our brains do. We try to take any situation and make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of also the problem with narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. Like, you're like, it doesn't have to make sense. It's usually pretty petty and stupid. And the best you get is they're going to give you some twisted version of events.
Right.
Like, they're going to gaslight you. That's narcissist standard. You're going to get gaslit.
Right.
And roped through this labyrinth of why they did what they did and blah, 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 blah. And some of it's not even going to be true. Almost to the point where you do start to feel empathy for them. Like, the weirdest part about narcissists is they don't experience empathy, but they really know how to be manipulative and cause empathy from others.
Right.
Which is the weirdest combo.
Right.
You know, like, those who can't do, teach. You know what I mean? Like, it's in that mindset, like, you know.
Right.
Like, wait, what? How does that?
Yeah, that's that level of what? The insanity.
Yeah, like you can't experience empathy, but you can elicit it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that work?
Right, and it sounds like that it's going to be, just another showboat. Like this
Yeah.
is another, and this is what happens when you turn people out of your life for whatever reason. I have a really lovely firing policy. I get this experience on this planet to do what I please. That means I do not require to have people in my life, and I fire them. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people try to eagle their way back in, and it's like, no, you're fired. You have been fired. You're out of my life. And that's what they have done. They have moved forward. They have took their damaged, broken parts and said enough.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will comment that this really sounds like they're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of the emotional dumping ground of it.
Mm-hmm.
Of like what happened, which they've definitely gotten a good ways down the path to be able to talk about it. So that's awesome. But you're more so just kind of police reporting it.
Mm-hmm.
And that means you're really not ready to deal with them yet.
Right.
Like, you've gotten a long ways. Being able to police report what happened and how it happened and what caused what is an important stage to get to.
Right.
I'm not knocking that. Since we're talking in terms of potentially being in the same room again to seek something, you've got to get beyond that point to the point where you can legitimately sit down and strategize. Okay, what do I actually want?
Death certificate.
Well, I mean, though, what would I as a whole person want and expect? Okay.
Sorry, that's my position.
Well, but that's not what but there's an element to this that is separating the fictional dream scenario, which is, okay, what would a whole human being expect and want out of a situation which you've been harmed in this way by your father? The recognition that, okay, none of this, how much of this is he technically capable of, which is probably going to be very low compared to the dream. And then there's the reconciliation, and I don't mean with him, I mean of those two things. Like, you're not going to get a well-intentioned apology. You're not going to get understanding for what he did to you. You're not going to get understanding for the long-term effects of what he did to you. You're not going to get anything really, truly useful out of this, other than you're going to go back to the luggage in your closet, pull out the giant bento box of your father, and unpack it for a day, and then have to try to cram it all back in again with an additional piece of a half-hearted apology.
Right. That most likely he doesn't even need.
Well, sometimes just hearing the words. Well-intentioned or not, it can be a step for people to try to move forward.
Okay.
That, at least they said it.
Right.
Whether they meant it, whether it was the best apology in the world, because I've been there. Even my father knew when I went no contact.
Right.
That, in order for, and had remained while living in the same town as him to be no contact.
Right.
That when he wanted my help,
right,
he had to at least attempt an apology.
And
he did. And it was not the best apology.
Right.
It was not a deep, heartfelt, sincere, I really understand how I fucked up in my life.
Right.
Apology.
Right.
But there is at least a little bit of vindication there.
Right.
just a little, in hearing the words and going, I'm not fucking crazy.
Right.
You know what? Like, you can take everything else away. You can take the sincerity and heartfelt and love and Kodak moment and all of that out of it, which he did. But you cannot deny me the feeling of vindication. I'm not effing crazy. This shit happened.
Right.
Because that's what I got. And that can be important.
Okay.
But not at this point.
Yeah. You know.
Not at this point.
Not at this point.
You're not there.
Yeah. They're not there in their therapy position. They're not there in their growth position. They're not there in their emotional stability. And I think meeting with him would do more harm.
Yeah. At this point, yes. Very much so, yes. Like, you're still vulnerable to the manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just at I can police report talk about it,
right,
you're still not far enough away from it. Like right now, you're just trying to write it out so that it make the illogical makes sense.
Right.
And like you've done well. I'm not knocking it.
Right.
I'm just saying, if that's where you're at in the journey, you are nowhere near the ability to go in and have any kind of meaningful conversation, even just the vindication one.
Right.
Of you're at least admitting that I'm not crazy, this shit occurred. Mm-hmm. Maybe, we don't want to go into all the details and we can argue about those.
Mm-hmm.
But you at least admit there's a reason
mm-hmm.
that I have justifiable cause
mm-hmm.
to be angry at you.
Right.
That was a very vindicating moment. It was hollow. Don't get me wrong. It's hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a hollow ass apology that I got.
Right.
But and I was a little mad at first, and then I really did have to go, but it's vindication one way or the other, however you slice it. I'm not crazy.
Right.
Like for all the times that he sat there and tried to make it out like I was crazy and I'm blowing things out of proportion, and he didn't do that, and he didn't, he would never do such a thing and all that, then why did you apologize?
Right.
Why did you apologize to me?
Right.
You could have made other choices.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, this is the difference between Aeson and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
People can apologize to you and it's like, okay, everything's better. But for Aeson,
no.
there's a certain level that's like, nope, you're fired.
No, it's not inherently that everything's better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was definitely not what occurred with my father. I will flat say that.
Right.
But it was at least enough that I can compassionately look at him
mm-hmm.
and go, you're sick and need help.
Right.
I'm probably not the best person for this job.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably the only one that is willing at this point to take it up.
Right.
So we're going to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if nothing else, got to love the narcissist for rational self-interest.
Right.
Like, he was smart enough to, like, okay, I'll keep my fucking mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just gonna take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love, and this goes with that, Kodak moment concept.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a phrase I started using to describe it, is that, like, if you go through a really abusive situation and you get locked in, especially with a narcissist, to this constant cycle,
mm-hmm.
you have all these moments in your life where what normal people experience that would be what you would refer to as like a Norman Rockwell moment or a Kodak moment or, a deeply meaningful, touching, like someone snap a photo. This is great. You don't get those because every time those occur, that spotlight on you that has to be ripped away and put on them.
Right.
And so, like, I graduated high school. That was a whole nightmare. I graduated college. That's a whole nightmare. Like, all these different events in my life were specifically made all about him, either through a temper tantrum or whatever he had to do.
Right.
So you keep searching for this moment where everything's okay and it feels like a normal, like, I'm normal. Is because it's what you, like, most people want to be, is I just want to be normal. I just want to have this moment where everything feels good.
Right.
Without that impending dread of, oh no, what's about to happen.
Right.
And that's kind of a narcissist trademark, is every time something goes good for you and everyone's looking at you because you did great, they have to stage a reason.
Right.
Like, they have to one-up you, they have to throw a temper tantrum, they have to point out all your flaws, they have to do something. To, if you're going to get attention, it's going to be negative.
Right.
Or they're going to get it.
Right.
One way or another. So I always called it I was looking for this Kodak moment. I just wanted one.
Right.
One moment where everything's normal, everything's fine, I'm getting positive attention, and it is not a prelude to a letdown crash.
Right.
And that's one of those things you have to work out in therapy, is that will not happen. Like, you have to let it go. That's not, or more importantly, that's not going to happen with them.
Right.
Like, and trying to reintegrate them into your life to get it.
There's a manipulation.
You then become your own worst enemy.
Used here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, whenever I see stuff like this from a narcissist, from an abuser, it is pure manipulation.
Yeah.
They are looking for attention. They are looking for something that's not going to give OP what they want. If anything, it's going to damage OP more.
Right. Well, and that's more so because of where they're at. Now, I will say, it, like, upsides to being the survivor of a narcissist. When you get to a certain point, you actually can be around them because you start connecting what they're doing with the disorder.
Right.
Like, you start making the jumps, and so you don't lock into it.
Right.
Like, this is manipulation. This is gaslighting. You're not crazy.
Right.
This is what actually happened. You trust your own personal opinions and beliefs and memories. And you're not...
Right.
It's sort of like the glass shatters that allowed them to box you in and tell you what reality was. You no longer have to share their reality.
Right.
And you can hear it and experience it.
Right.
Without it having the same effect.
Right.
And as long as you are at least at a place where you can control your emotions, it's an okay. Like, you can be around them without it being devastating and just being a disaster.
Yeah, not worth it.
Well, no,
No.
It's not worth it. But
all right, so let's take a look at the poll.
All right, where's that poll at?
That poll is at everyone is shitty here. All of you get a trophy.
All righty. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, not 100% where I'm at, but I'll say it's fair.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of back and forth there.
Right.
Like, this isn't healthy. Y'all got to find a better way to respect each other.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Hey, so take it away, darling.
All right, so of course we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. All right, so we'll be back on Thursday with coffee and tea. Lady Gwen's sitting down with me, I believe. And that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll be on network. And, we'll see what happens with the Keen and their new dashboards. And
Oh, yeah, that's coming out tomorrow, so.
Yes, so, there may be some time, there may be some coffee and tea about that.
Ooh.
And with that, guys, we bid you good night.
Good night.
All right.